Warning. Geesebumps is a comedy podcast based on the works of R.L. Stine. Any similarity to an actual literature podcast is coincidental and unintentional. Listener beware, you're not in for a scare.
Live plants. Dead people? Dr. Brewer is doing a little plant testing in his basement. Nothing to worry about. Harmless, really. But Margaret and Casey Brewer are worried about their father, especially when they meet some of the plants he's growing down there. Then they notice that their father is developing plant-like tendencies. In fact, he's becoming distinctly weedy and seedy.
It's so stupid. Okay, welcome to Geesebumps, a Goosebumps podcast.
Nope.
Welcome to Geesebumps, a Did You Mean Goosebumps podcast, in which...
You could just say who you are.
Yeah, okay. Let me just...
That's why we have a lot of cuts we can do.
I'm gonna go ahead and
Yeah,
start
we have
this
I have a lot of choices. We got a lot of fuel in this tank.
Welcome to Geesebumps, a Did You Mean Goosebumps podcast, hosted by the three.
All you have to say is I'm Danielle McManus, PhD. That's all it takes.
I know. Okay. No,
Reset
I'm good. Welcome to Geesebumps, a Did You Mean Goosebumps podcast. I'm Danielle
Oh my god!
Unprecedented. What we've done is we split up because Danielle's name is so long. We wrote Danielle Mick, and then we have another cue card behind it that said Manus. And I was asleep at the wheel when it comes to switching those bad boys
I
around.
hate it when people split up my name. I can't work like this. I'm going.
Okay, and then also the PhD.
Yes. It's yes.
Hey, we'll deal with that mistake when it happens. We can't give preemptive notes. Let's try this one again.
I'm flirting with Danielle McPhD. Welcome to Geesebumps, a Did You Mean Goosebumps podcast. I'm Danielle. I have a PhD in English.
I'm JoJo. I have a PhD in English.
I'm Jeff. I have various Discord channels that I don't know how to use. The amount of 36 to 42-year-olds that I expected to be in the Steven Universe Discord that I joined a few weeks ago, not as many as I was hoping.
How many?
And that's probably good.
Yeah. Or all of them are 36 to 42-year-olds and they're pretending to be 14.
The good news for Danielle and I is that if we hear about anything sus happening in the Steven Universe Discord, I know where to go.
Indeed. And let's just say if you use Uwu in Discord, they're going to know straight up
That I'm
who you
super
are.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, old person, kick them.
We're going to make you admin of this channel.
Can we have your credit card, please?
Okay, kids, I love you.
You're old.
Well, today on Geesebumps, we are talking about the second of Goosebumps novelizations from actual life. This is actually R.L. Stine's real life that he did
It's an
in his
autobiography.
life. It's an autobiography.
The adaptation.
But it's
This is the second one. Stay out of the basement that we're going to be talking about this day. Let's do some synopsizing
Okay.
of this bad boy. Who would like to go first?
I'll hit it off.
Twitter Jeff.
I'll get on deck first.
I'm a hit. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
all right.
Go.
All right, so it is in a small California town, unnamed as always, where Casey and Margaret, two siblings, are living at home and their dad is just hunched down in the basement doing some science experiments after he got fired from his job for unknown reasons, potentially dangerous reasons. Mom goes away on some, we're going to call it vacation to see her sister, but we don't know if that's really the case. And the kids are stuck with dad, malnourished, and dad seems to be taking on a different personality because he is becoming quite obsessed with his work in the basement with plants. He says, stay out of the basement. The kids, don't stay out of the basement. What happens next? Oh, I can't even tell you. I forgot.
Hijinks ensue. Hijinks ensue.
Hijinks ensue. Is it man? Is it plant? Is it dad? Is it both? We don't know. We hopefully will find out by the end of the book.
That was a very bad Goodreads, guys. I don't know if I'm gonna read this one based on that.
Okay.
But Danielle, you're up.
Okay, let me.
And
Yep.
go.
Actual plot. Dad goes down in the basement a lot. He works a lot on plants. The plants are weird. They breathe and move and moan. and then the kids go down there and they find out that the plants are bonkers and their dad is bonkers. And then it turns out their dad has leaves on his head because he's actually a plant. And oh my God. And this is actually a story about having sex with plants. Thank you.
Do you relinquish the rest of your time?
I yield my time.
Okay, good. All right, stay out of the basement. Kids, they have a dad who doesn't like them, and so their mom goes away to take care of the sick aunt. So they just decide to screw with the dad and mess with all of his cool stuff in the basement. It turns out dad is like a plant man, and he wants to make his kids plants, and then that's basically it. There's a lot of going into the basement, coming out of the basement, going into the basement shenanigans, and at one point, they go down there and they're like, man, look at this door. And they go in the door and then their real dad is in there. And the way they know their real dad is because Margaret gets an axe and cuts her real dad. She presses the axe into her real dad to make him bleed a bunch. And then the real dad's like, thanks. And he takes the axe and he kills the other dad. Now that dad is dead. And then he says to the kids, I'm going to make this shit into a game room. And the kids are chill about it.
Yeah. Then school starts later that year.
And school starts later that year.
Yep.
Then they go to school.
Great. They have stories to tell.
Yeah.
What I did on my summer vacation is
So as you could tell from all three of our synopses, there's a lot going on in this book.
No. There's not a lot going on. There's like 4 things happening.
No, I didn't say in reality. From our synopses.
okay. Yeah. It's a linear plot, sure, but there's a lot under the surface, baby.
Baby.
I don't believe you. You know who I will believe? I'll believe a certain friend of mine. Hang on, let me see if I can make. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting Richard Lewis Stine on the horn.
Okay.
Get him in here.
We have one specific phone that we actually use to call him.
It's a black phone that's got skulls where the top, where the mouth and the ear part are for.
The whole part you hold with the hand is a skeleton hand too.
So now we have Richard Lewis Stine on the horn. Hello, Richard Lewis.
I no longer go by Richard Lewis.
Excellent.
That is, in fact, a rumor started by the internet, and I don't appreciate it. I feel like they thought that my correct name, Royal Llama Stine, was not good enough for them.
Is that a family name?
It is.
Okay.
Is it your family's name, or is it just a family that you liked and you took it?
It's a family that lived in the barn behind my house.
Okay.
And they had a llama whose name was Royal.
Okay.
And that I was named in his honor because he was a noble beast.
So were you born in the barn and that's how your family
No,
came?
I was not born in a barn.
Were you raised in a barn?
No, there was a barn behind my home. Americans.
I'm just asking why this llama named Royal was so important to your family that they felt the need to name you after it. If your birth wasn't somehow coinciding with it eating hay.
Yeah, because honestly, I think that a llama eating hay is a pretty positive omen for the birth of a soon-to-be horror writer. Because llama rhymes with drama, and drama goes hand in hand with horror, and horror starts with an H, and H isn't hay.
Precisely.
And hell.
It is that too. Yes. Now I don't like mentioning HE double hockey sticks because I know that Mr. Satan's listening to our show.
That's right.
But I will say that yes, it is probably a pretty good thing that Royal Llama Stine is here with us today.
First of all, big fans.
We read a book of yours called Stay Out of the Basement.
Ah, yes, not stay out in the basement, yes.
What is this book about?
We know it's not just 64 pages of drivel.
Yeah, it's actually 122 pages.
Yeah.
Can't fool us.
Oh.
Got to get up pretty early to trick Dr. Jojo and Jeff AA.
You're very observant. I appreciate that. So, what do you think the book is about? Do you think it's about a plant man?
I mean, it seems pretty obvious to me that this book's about obviously a family and some sort of plant man.
False.
Oh.
Yes, you fail. Goodbye.
Royal. Can I call you Royal?
No.
Okay. Can I call you Llama?
No. Amma.
The L's are even more silent.
That's,
L's are
yeah,
silent.
the first L is as silent as the second L, if not more so.
All right, Amma, where did I go wrong with my description of the book's plot? I don't know. It seemed pretty obvious to me.
This book is about realizing one's queer sexuality, coming out of the closet in the basement where that sexuality has been trapped. It was very bound and gagged, doubly so. And it is about a man realizing that he loves his neighbor and his boss, but not his wife or his children. There you go.
Thanks for joining us, Royal. We appreciate that one. Let me. Hang on. I'm gonna disconnect.
Yeah, can we just cut the line?
That's gone.
That call cost us $82.
That was a very expensive phone call. That was a real waste of our money.
Yeah, it's actually the way the phone works is that it actually, when we call him, it instantly makes his phone call us collect.
You know what, Danielle? I'm not gonna take any crap off of you because you just got so starstruck. You didn't say anything that whole interview.
I couldn't. I mean, he's a brilliant guy.
I know. Royal Llama is a pretty smart man.
I mean, to follow Welcome to Dead House
With a book that makes sense.
with a book with a plot. I got something from the beginning. And I think it's a nice little chunk that basically encapsulates the entire book because I'm good at that. Sure. At picking things like that. Yes. Okay, so this is for me it's on page 6, which is at the end of chapter 1, the last couple paragraphs. She pulled the door open the rest of the way, and they stepped onto the narrow stairway. "Hey, Dad!" Casey called excitedly. "Dad, can we see?" He has not hit puberty yet.
No.
They were halfway down when their father appeared at the foot of the stairs. He glared up at them angrily, his skin strangely green under the fluorescent light fixture. He was holding his right hand. Drops of red blood falling onto his white lab coat. "Stay out of the basement," he bellowed in a voice they'd never heard before. Both kids shrank back, surprised to hear their father scream like that. He was usually so mild and soft-spoken. "Stay out of the basement," he repeated, holding his bleeding hand. "Don't ever come down here. I'm warning you. I'm having sex down here."
I don't think that's not in there. That's in your version.
That's the subtext.
Yeah, Danielle got the European version, which is
I got the French version.
more raunchy.
You got the version where the cover was like a plant man, like in an embrace.
It was Mr. Bean, but he was actually a bean.
He was actually a bean.
It was Mr. Bean with
And
with
Mr.
a.
Bean
It was
had-
Mr. Bean with Jolly Green.
Oh
Had
yeah.
a bean himself. He had quite a bean.
He did. That's like
What does that mean?
what's the name of the guy who plays Mr. Bean?
Rowan Atkinson.
Do you think Rowan Atkinson calls his whole business the Bean?
The bean. He
Yeah.
has to.
The Mr. Bean?
The Mr. Bean. It's the big bean because you don't want to say the little bean.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a big bean because that's what's funded all of his other like productions that he's wanted to do.
So he calls his hog the Big Bean.
Yeah, it calls his hog the big bean, and everything. His children are all little beans.
Yeah.
His children are all little beans from the Big Bean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That makes sense.
yeah, and his loving wife,
Mrs. Bean.
Mrs. Bean. Yeah, we're not gonna be crude. It's just Mrs. Bean.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
straight up.
Well, because they both were named Bean beforehand,
Yes, and that's how they met, and that's why they love each other.
and that's why they got married. What you do, you guys,
They had the same last name?
yeah,
yeah.
that's a sign.
you find someone with the same last name as you, marry them.
Immediately.
Whoa, hold on. I can see some mild issues with this one. Because you're typically in pretty close proximity with someone with your same last name, like right away when you
Yeah.
pop onto this earth. So I'm really hoping that Rowan Mr. Bean Atkinson didn't immediately find someone also whose last name was Bean.
I'm sure they're at least second or third cousins.
Yeah, at least it's fine.
Well, now that Rowan Atkinson has stopped listening, let's really talk about
Now that we've alienated the bean crowd.
this passage that we've brought up.
That passage scares me.
It's the most, I would say it's one of the more intense moments.
It's the first horror moment of the book, I would say.
And we can all relate to being a kid and seeing your parent like enraged and screaming. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, we can definitely see that moment when your parents are yelling at you, because sometimes it's staying out of the basement is like, maybe it's metaphorical.
Yeah.
Maybe it's stay out of
The cookie jar.
drugs.
stay out of the drug jar where I keep all my mescaline.
Stay out of both of those jars.
It's a little confusing, but
They're both on the top shelf.
The basement is full of jars. You're not allowed to go in the basement where all of my jars are.
Let me tell you a little bit about jar basements.
Jar Jar basement.
Jar Jar basements.
Yeah.
On the top shelf of every basement, there's 2 jars. One jar is filled with just some of the dankest, creamiest nugs
Oh my God.
ever. And then you go to that jar first,
Yeah.
and then you go, well, I'm already up here on the top shelf.
And you know what sounds real good?
Cookies.
Yeah.
And then you go to that second jar, so you got to stay out of them jars.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be an adult.
You're going to get into some sort of like jar loop.
Yeah.
That's why I need those jars pristine when I get down there, because if I can smoke those dank nugs.
Yep.
Then I get the munchums and I hop into my Milano stash that I've transferred from a bag into a jar shaped like a clown.
And I do have to confess that once upon a time I was smoking one of the real dank nugs, and I went back for seconds and I smoked a Milano, and I really have not been the same ever since. That's the danger.
Like if you eat enough munchies, you want to get high because you're like, I don't deserve to be this high.
And it's unfortunate because when you smoke that Milano, like you sometimes forget that you smoked that Milano, but you know who didn't forget? Pepperidge Farm. Pepperidge Farm remembers, Danielle.
You remember telling your kids to stay out of the basement where all of your weed and cookie jars are?
Yep.
Pepperidge Farms remembers.
Which, not to interrupt with actual plot, but in the first 7 chapters, it sounds like it's a grow house. It just sounds like their dad is in the basement growing weed. Follow up. By the end, it sounds like a sex dungeon.
I think a grow house is really a sex dungeon for plants.
Yeah.
A greenhouse is sort of like, this is the fun we can have with the neighbors. And a grow house is, this is the fun we can have with a
Ourselves.
very secretive Reddit community
Yes.
who is down with this specifically and opts in.
I just want to share some of the sensuousness of the plants. So this passage is from the end of chapter 3. This is when they first encounter the plants. Along with them is their friend, Diane. So they're down in the basement with their friend.
Hell yes, they are.
They've just discovered the plants for the first time. And this is how it's described when they touch them. The 3 of them stood under the bright white lights, examining the plants for several minutes, touching the thick stalk, running their hands over the smooth, warm leaves. Surprised by the enormous size of the fruits some of the plants had produced.
God,
Okay.
Danielle.
It's too hot down here. Casey said.
There could be innocent ears listening to this. Bringing your smutty plant talk into our innocent could be Goosebumps
I am
podcast.
merely reporting.
Some parents are not comfortable with their children discovering their sexuality by going in the basement and seeing the enormous fruit of a plant.
And you
That's
know
right.
what the problem is? We have furries. We don't have planties. That's because people have been shamed
Okay,
for loving plants.
Do we not have those?
do we not have planties?
Oh,
Oh, shit.
hang on.
Hold on.
I think this is important. I'm going to type in to Google. You know what? First, I'm going to make an incognito tab.
Yes,
Now I'm going to
good.
type in
Smart.
planties, sex.
It exists.
What?
Really? What's it called?
I just found a webcomic. I mean, it's not like a Wikipedia article, but for this particular thing, it basically is. Furries, people who emulate anthropomorphize animals, have been displaced by the new planties.
People who
Oh, just
Wait, I think
Anthropomorphize.
this is just a joke thing. I don't think they're actually. Yeah.
So there aren't people really out there identifying their sexuality and their self with a thick veiny green boy.
Yes, and
Yeah.
you know what? They're being shamed.
They're being
made the
shamed.
butt of jokes.
They're being told to stay in the basement.
They're being told to stay in the basement. And that's the whole message of this book. Planties exist. Free them. Free the planty.
Free the planty.
Take all of your house plants right now. Put them outside.
Free them.
Free them.
Let the people
Let them
know.
get the light that they need.
Yes. to
Let them get the
become-
fondling they deserve. Okay, hang on. So Danielle, I know that you read your passage and that was just great, but then you didn't read the exact next sentence.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's too hot down here?
Well, there's more to that. So please read the whole that whole part.
All right. It's too hot down here, Casey complained. He pulled off his t-shirt over his head and dropped it onto the floor. What a bod, Diane teased him. He stuck out his tongue.
Can I just say that this whole section here is like,
Horny.
yeah, this is like the horniest section of any kid's book I've ever read. That's buck wild.
They have a plant orgy, and you know what? They love it.
Well, and I believe Casey gets boy-handled.
Gets
fondled.
I mean, not in a
No,
pedophile sense.
he pretends.
No.
No,
She sees him. She sees him, and she has to free him from his bondage.
Yeah. Shortly thereafter.
This is such a horny section of this book.
Isn't it? It's great.
Well, and I'm curious, and I'd love to do some cross reading with some other parts that Diane is involved in.
Oh, flipping her red hair.
It's a big sexual freedom nightmare book.
And there is this catalyst that exists in the book, and that catalyst is Diane.
I don't know if that's true.
Every scene.
She's the pivot. She eggs them on to go down to the basement.
Yeah.
She eggs them on and says he has a nice bod.
He's definitely 8.
He's
definitely 8.
Actually 10. And
Oh, I'm sorry.
Whoa!
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My point is,
no, it's sexy.
it's so, man, you know
it-
what? I read this like 4 different times, this one passage. Because
I know,
all right,
it's
all right.
It's a good
But
one.
here's the thing. Like, I never read it out loud.
Right.
And hearing it out loud, do you think Royal Llama read this one out loud and then said to himself, this is fine?
He knows the difference between when you read something out loud and when you read it to yourself. Very different connotations emerge.
I'm concerned less about Royal Llama reading this out loud, more concerned about some poor hapless child in 3rd grade doing out loud reading for the classroom.
Oh, no.
I'm feeling real awkward.
And say, all right, Johnny, do you want to read the next 3 pages for us out loud in the class?
No.
Johnny, it's your turn.
No.
Johnny, you're never going to learn to read the fucking pages.
But
my
the
God.
thing that you knew when you were in school is the kid who, like, you would see. I wouldn't have clocked this as a little
Yeah,
kid
exactly.
I was.
Exactly. Went right over my head. as a kid.
But if I was reading this and then some kid who had sunglasses and maybe a pack of candy cigarettes rolled into his
Definitely,
sleeve
definitely.
was giggling through this whole part,
Yeah.
I would know that kid definitely snuck into his dad's basement and looked at his dirty magazines and knows what I don't.
Exactly.
Or she knows what I don't about this particular horny plant stuff
Yes.
that R.L. Stine is clearly super
He's
about.
merely planting seeds,
Yeah.
if I may.
You can draw a direct line from this scene in the book to all of Anne Rice's novels.
Correct.
Yes, there's definitely a lot of horny.
There's some blood.
There's a lot of horny, thick, smooth, warm fruit
Yeah.
and taking off T-shirts and sticking out tongues in Anne Rice.
Yes.
It definitely started here.
Yep.
With the hot green sexual plant dungeon.
That's definitely the hot green is going to be the name of my slash fic. Futuristic tale of don't go down, stay out of the basement. Also, just so you know, I keep Googling don't go in the basement. Staying out of the basement means that they've gone in at one point. Yeah.
I mean, ostensibly, it was once a basement of normal qualities. It had the one side that was a rec room. So, of course, they've probably been down there before.
Was it a sex dungeon before it became the grow house that became some sort of plant-based sex dungeon?
Well, the real question is, did it become a sex dungeon and then it become a sexer dungeon? Did it become sexier now that there's plants?
Yes, absolutely 100% yes.
Okay.
Look, they moan.
Yeah. I mean,
And when they okay, so at one point Casey gets wrapped up by one of the plants. One of the plants snags him, wraps him up. But it's very gentle. It's on page 18 for me. The tendrils hung on and gently tightened around him. He jerked violently, then pulled straight ahead. The tendrils held on. They didn't squeeze him. They weren't trying to strangle him or pull him back. But they didn't let go. They felt warm and wet against his bare skin.
Oh, God!
I read this.
Oh, my God! I almost barfed.
We read this out loud to each other.
Oh
Why did
my
we not catch
God,
this?
That was so gross. What chapter is that?
Chapter 6.
It's a good chapter.
Oh, that's fucking gross.
That's right
wait.
towards the end.
And also because of the, so it keeps going. The tendrils hung on. The plant uttered a loud sigh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we're finished with this passage.
Play some Barry White.
Disgusting.
Yeah, I'm into it. So
Some Barry White oleander.
it's get out.
So we've touched on the setting, I think, pretty well.
California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've really
really gone
explored
into
that
that
space
at length, yeah.
And now we've solidified that there's something fishy going on or something planty going on in the
Planty,
basement.
yes, thank you.
With Dad.
Sometimes plants smell like fish.
Yeah,
They do.
Sometimes you need to wash those plants. The middle of the book, not a lot of Buck Wild stuff happens, but they punctuate kind of the monotony of these kids living with their dad, who's just in the basement, with one of the, like, to me, most confusing plot points the book makes up. I'm going to read you this section. So a few hours later, they were still in the backyard, and that's Casey and Margaret, the siblings.
This is chapter 11.
Chapter 11.
If you have the Scholastic print version, it's page 74.
Yeah, if you have this page 37 if you're reading a BS PDF.
That's fair. That's halfway.
Yeah, it is. A few hours later, they were still in the backyard trying to figure out what to do when the kitchen door opened and their father called them to come in. So they were just talking outside about how they were kind of concerned about Dad. Margaret looked at Casey in surprise. I don't believe it. He came upstairs. Maybe we can talk to him, Casey said. They both raced into the kitchen. Dr. Brewer, his Dodger cap in place, flashed them a smile as he set 2 soup bowls down on the table. Hi, he said brightly. Lunchtime.
Hold on. This should have clued him in immediately.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no one eats soup for lunch.
No one eats soup for lunch.
I think that you can't eat just soup for lunch.
You got to have some sort of bread or...
Even Olive Garden
Yes.
is never just like soup, unlimited soup.
Yeah.
All right, we'll give you some salad. We'll give you some breadsticks. We'll do you right. If it was just unlimited soup, you'd be like, I couldn't.
But-
That's like Sisyphus trying to have dinner.
Okay, but counterpoint. Their dad has been so neglectful that he has apparently never fed them in this entire time, and they're probably just really hungry.
Have your parents ever not loved you enough that they served you soup for lunch and you thought it was cool?
Yes.
Yeah, these kids are there.
So let me just. They said it was soup, two
Yeah.
bowls of soup, and then the very next 2 paragraphs.
Oh yeah, this is
it
good.
Says,
This is good.
Margaret and Casey look at the thing, and then Casey goes, "What is this stuff?" The 2 bowls are filled with a green pulpy substance. It looks like green mashed potatoes.
Yes, according to Casey.
So that's
It's not soup.
not soup.
No.
That's a
No.
little too thick to be soup.
Unless it's a porridge.
Which is still
great.
not
That's still not, I wouldn't call oatmeal soup.
okay, squad. I think we've stumbled on something. very-
Okay.
Are we about to really dive into this topic?
How is oatmeal not soup? I would love an explanation.
All right.
Too viscous. The most viscous you can be and still be a soup is stew. I know.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. How
Yeah.
about this? How
Oh,
about this?
oh, you
I
think
take
you
my oatmeal. I wake up in the morning. Oh God, so tired. Gotta power up for the day. And I go into the kitchen. I get some Quaker and a little milk and a little water. And
Milk
I
and water?
and I hang on.
wrong with you?
Hey, it's my fucking breakfast. And I heat that up. I heat that up on the stove, and then I go, oh man, Danielle is right.
Yeah.
It is pretty viscous. So then you know what I do? I put it in my Ninja and I blend it up into a little
oat shake.
slurry.
A little oat
Is that soup?
No, that's an oat shake.
Whoa. That is what?
An oat shake.
Yeah, it's oat shake.
What if I put it in a bowl?
Then it's an oat shake in a bowl, which raises an important point. I don't think they ever call it soup at any point. I think it's just served to them in soup bowls. I think we're making an assumption.
He said 2 soup bowls down the table. Holy shit.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yep.
It was never soup.
It was never soup.
Who the fuck calls out a specific kind of bowl?
Well,
Do you only wait? Are they so rich that they have bowls specifically set aside only
my
for
ma-
soup?
Oh, excuse me, sir.
the soup bowl
I've
out for
accidentally
you.
placed your mashed potatoes in the soup bowl when they should have been in the
Oh,
side
you
bowl.
fool!
Why just
Why?
why not just say bowls? Just
Why
say
not
bowls
just
are.
shoot me in the face?
Because I've never had ice cream in a bowl
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
gone, oh shit,
But-
this was cereal only, and then set it down.
Yeah.
Things that I love so much about R.L. Stine is that he puts in weird random specific details where you don't expect.
Can we assume then? Is this from the perspective of Margaret?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Can we assume that potentially in this house, they have never been served any food in a bowl save for soup?
I think you're right. I think logically.
So they have been so undernourished.
Yeah.
They've had so little sweets and sugars and cereals that to them, the
bowl
the
is
deep, or as they call them, the deep plate. Yes, the deep plates are designed specifically for the hot goop liquid that they drink that isn't oatmeal shake.
The Dinty Moore.
The Denty Moore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Royal Llama, you could have called them deep plates.
Excuse me. I would like you to know
How'd you get back here, Royal?
I'm always here. I'm in your heart, Joe.
Did you only eat soups as a child, Royal?
How dare you? I ate stew and porridge.
So you're
So this is more of that fantasy world.
Yes.
That recreative fantasy
I dreamed of soup. I just wanted soup, but
And
it was always stew.
That makes sense because so much there is a deep yearning in this book, and it does seem like horny plant yearning, but at some level it is kind of like I sure do wish
Pea soup.
pea soup.
That's
Yeah.
what I wanted.
It was yellow.
Yes.
Thank you, Royal.
You're welcome.
Okay, shut the door now. Bye.
But read the dad's reaction when they don't eat it.
Okay.
It's a little intense. Here's what happens. They don't want to eat it because they're terrified of whatever the stuff was.
Well, soup is gross.
Yes, especially when it's like mashed potatoes. Mm-hmm. Their father says, "What's the matter with you two?" impatiently. Then he raises his hand in an eating gesture, which I think was probably actually just a veiled, like, backhand threat.
But I do like the world that Royal has created for us where this parent, who may be a plant at this point, we don't know.
We don't know.
Who thinks,
Assumably-
what's wrong with you?
Exactly.
Did you forget the food part?
Yeah.
It's this.
What's wrong?
You do this
Let
one.
me show you how it's
Are you-
done.
You take the mini shovel and you dip it in the goop and then you put the goop in your face and
Yes.
that's eating.
Yeah, right in that big hole. It goes right in there.
Goes in the
Do
big
that.
hole.
It's like
Do
a
that.
baby
The
teaching
big-
other babies how to eat.
The key here is that the big face hole is involved.
Yes.
And as a plant man, I know that.
Exactly.
And I don't know how these dumb little humans don't
Right.
know that. I
They're-
got to show them.
Oh, this is sad. You know,
This
baby
is sad.
plants.
He's
Baby
trying to-
plants can feed themselves.
He's simply modeling as a father should for his offspring.
His stupid, idiot offspring.
Yeah, look, these children obviously all they know is peanut butter and jelly.
It's true.
They don't know how to operate the heavy
Sadness.
mechanics
Don't forget the sadness.
and sadness.
And sadness.
So-
Okay, but then he freaks the fuck out. So
This
they're
is
like,
the end of chapter 11.
yes, and they're like, no, I'm not gonna eat that shit. And he's like doing a little mime dance, shoving spoons in his face, and then they raise their spoons and they put them in, but they don't put the spoons in their mouths because they can't. And Dr. Brewer screams and then pounds on the table with his non-injured hand.
And then
It's a little intense.
it's a little intense. And then Margaret and actually R.L. Stine as well made the decision. He's given us no choice.
It's true.
It's really like when you think about it, the stakes of this make very little sense.
You don't know what would have happened if they ate that stuff.
We
We also don't know what would have happened if she just said,
no, I'm good.
"No, I'm good."
Well, because
Yeah.
here's the thing: up until shenanigans,
Lots of shenanigans.
in the basement, Dad was mild mannered.
Yeah,
and
soft-spoken.
wouldn't hurt a fly.
Very gentle.
And for some reason, they're like, I mean, I guess it would be frightening if your parent, who's usually mild mannered, started to Hulk out.
yeah, oh yeah.
But like, did they think he was going to like hit them?
That's the problem with being a kid is you think that your parents are going to do something terrible to you.
And then they do.
And then they do.
Then they do.
Well,
And your suspicions are confirmed.
yes.
my actual question.
Every parent, you're scary. I think you need to accept that.
Yeah.
Even if you're really cool,
Yeah.
you're a little scary.
I was scared of my parents, and you've seen my dad.
Right? I know. I was scared of my parents. You've seen my parents.
hanging out with your parents is kind of like hanging out with a friend who you know for sure has an emotional disorder they're not dealing with. It's like, yeah, they're mostly cool, but every so often they kind of just go off on the weirdest shit.
Little strange.
And they do not owe you an explanation.
Oh no, and they do not give it.
Do not ask.
Guys, I think the thing that we're forgetting here is that we're not parents, and I'm sure that every parent there's going to be a point when you're going to be bouncing little Jeff on your knee, and she's going to go, "What do I have to eat this?" And you're going to say, "Yeah, it's good." And you're going to hit the table a bunch. You're going to be like, "Eat. I get it."
Yeah.
And you're going to have a little tear. And that song, the Cat's Cradle song, is going to play somewhere. And you're going to hear it. It's not going to be coming from anyone's Spotify, but you're going to hear it.
Oh.
I think you saying that, one, it's opened my eyes because now I feel that Plant Dad is a tragic figure in this story.
Absolutely.
Because not only is he a new plant dad,
Yes.
but he is a single plant dad.
Yes. Exactly.
Doing his best.
As mom is off on some sort of trip and he's left alone, new life in this world to raise these kids who don't want to eat his gooey mashed potatoes, go into his sex dungeon all the time and think that he's some sort of monster.
They have no respect.
Yeah. Okay. New book, new story. Plant Dad is the hero of the story.
Okay. And that allows us to talk about what happens to Plant Dad.
It gets buck wild.
Oh, it really does.
So
it is.
this is going to be on page 113.
Which for us to cut it in half.
So
that'd be
I don't know, 57,
50 something, 60 something.
yeah, 56.5. This is a part where, and I'm not going to read the exact words, just kind of clear. It's a chapter 20.
Oh, you think you can do better than RL?
I think I can do so with less plant sex. Yes.
Wow, the PhD has really gone to your head.
It has, much like the leaves have gone to the head.
Oh.
Nice.
So they freed real dad
Right.
from the basement, or who they think is real dad.
There's Plant Dad and Fleshy Dad.
Yeah. So Flesh Dad is down there, and he picks up an axe that's just down there. It's been down there the whole time. And Flesh Dad says, "You have to be destroyed." His eyes wild, his face scarlet, moving closer, axe gleaming, as if electrified under the white light. And everyone freaks out because there's this man who it looks a lot like another guy in this room. Yes. Could be twins. Has an axe.
He's acting pretty bonkers right now,
He's
too.
acted pretty bonkers. Yeah. Uttering a desperate cry of protest, Margaret leapt forward and grabbed the axe from the dad who had it. So
Real easy.
Yeah.
Real easy life.
She's 10.
She's 10.
And it's an adult.
Yeah. It's a big, full-grown adult.
In my head, I'm picturing a full-on axe.
A fire axe.
A fire axe.
This is a full-blown axe.
Yeah.
And she just popped out and was like, "I'm going to take this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
No struggle.
Not even hard.
No resistance.
I think it was the element. I think what they're trying to get at is she surprised them with her boldness.
Is he also malnourished and weak?
Yes. Plant food, not great for strength.
But that wasn't the one who had the axe.
This is Flesh Dad.
Oh, that's right.
Flesh Dad
Well,
had the axe.
Yeah, he's been down there for God knows how long.
I think Flesh Dad, even malnourished, is stronger than 10-year-old girl.
10-year-old girl has surprise strength.
She's been throwing that frisbee around outside
Yeah, she's
day
been
in and day
frisbeeing
out.
A lot. That's
Okay, you know what? I'll give it to you. It takes a lot of lateral strength
Yeah.
to have the
Yeah.
thing. She gets the axe and she goes. She has it. And everyone's like,
oh shit.
"Whoa,
Okay.
whoa, shit."
Like
Whoa,
okay.
whoa. It was okay. Look,
It was fine before.
It's funny when we do it.
Yeah.
But when you do it, bad.
Not so great.
And then
We've seen The Shining.
And then she goes, "I have an idea." And this is at the end of chapter 20.
I can't wait to hear what the idea is.
And she goes, she takes a deep breath because that's how you know she has trepidation
Important.
about this idea.
Important.
It's very important. You got to know her emotional state.
Yeah.
She takes a step over to the man from the supply closet and pushed the knife blade into his arm.
Yeah.
She has a knife too.
She has a knife too. Okay,
Yeah, she
good.
makes Casey get her.
So
a knife.
she gets the axe.
She
She gets a knife.
has one hand. She's dual wielding.
Well,
She's
she actually,
D-dubs.
it says that she puts down the axe. In fairness to her, but I would like to picture it as dual wielding.
Yeah.
I do think it was dual wielding. Now, Here's the thing. She pushed the knife in.
Yes.
Is a very slow way to describe that process.
That's an excruciating. I'm picturing, and I think I said it once before when we were reading it. The scene from Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
That's the thing she does.
Yeah.
That's what I'm picturing in my head. A very intimate scene.
A very intimate stabbing.
And then
all that happens is homeboy goes, ow.
he goes, ow.
Ow. And not, my daughter has stabbed me.
Yeah, not like, holy fucking shit.
I have been run through.
No. There was never that moment where afterwards the parents were like, hey, whoa, that was not cool.
Who have you been hanging out with?
Don't stab Dad.
It's also a huge risk because maybe this whole thing was a big goof. We don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he's had a secret twin all along.
Maybe this is their way of introducing cool Uncle Dave.
Yeah.
We
Who likes
don't know.
plants a lot.
All we know for sure is that this little girl had the wild idea, give me a knife. I'm going to prove who my real dad is by harming them.
But then it describes the wound as like a pinprick.
And also, specifically, it is described as a long bladed knife.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is maybe a poker.
I'm thinking like a Bowie knife.
Or a stiletto, which is a nice pick, which makes more sense, but less sense.
I'm seeing something like a long skewer that just does a little poke, you know?
Get me this shish kebab.
Exactly.
I'm going to prove who my grandpa is.
It would have made more sense if she was like, get me the thing we use to test your blood for blood sugar.
That's what it sounds like.
Get me a diabetic test strip.
We're going to pick you with a prin and prin?
Prin.
We're gonna prick you with a prin and see what it comes out.
Well, he cried out, ow. So, I mean,
That's human.
that's human.
That's that's proof that Royal is really tuned into human psychology, because if my beautiful sweet daughter who I produced with my powerful seed approached me with a blade and stabbed me with it
yeah.
to prove I was her daddy, I would go ow. And it wouldn't be an ow of betrayal. It would be an ow of confirmation and trust.
And like, you are brilliant. You are my child.
You are the future. With this ow I've said, and definitely not going to take you to therapy for stabbing me, your dad.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I ask you this now. Alternative ways she could have tested to see who was the real dad.
Ask something that only real dad would know. Plant dad's been. How about this one? Where did we live before me? That's a good one. Oh wait, no, I got a perf one. What's my birthday?
Yeah.
Well, we don't
You
know.
haven't been around here for a year and mom has not clued you in.
They could have also. What's the thing that a plant wants more than a person?
Sunlight?
Love.
What if they just released some bees in the room and saw where the bees went?
Aha.
Okay.
The bees would have gone to pollinate.
Although they both had okay, but these are more important questions that we're sidling up to. First of all, plant dad, real dad, both get plants. They get leaves on their head.
They both
of
get
them?
both get leaves for heads, but only one of them gets stabbed,
Only one of
Yeah.
them bleeds red.
which is weird.
It's very weird.
She should have stabbed both.
Yeah, she should have tested both. What if
Exactly.
what if he also had red blood and you didn't know until real dad took the axe?
Fake real dad axe, and then red blood dad kills other red blood dad. Like,
Yeah.
what's your end game there?
yeah.
Why didn't either dad?
Your dad's one of your dads is a scientist.
You have two grown adult men, potentially one a plant.
Mm-hmm.
You have probably a very tired wife who just got home, confused. She's been on the plane for hours, so she's jet lagged as hell. And you have two children. No one's gonna try and just like muscle their way out of this.
Mm-hmm. Also, it does say that she puts down the axe in favor of the knife. So
She gives it to the plant. Here, hold this
yeah,
for a
right?
second.
He could have grabbed it at any time. The plant could have grabbed it. The mom could have grabbed it. Casey could have
But they were
grabbed
just
it.
like, no, I want to see them recreate a scene from The Thing. This
Yeah.
makes perfect sense.
Yes, this is important.
They after real blood is spurted.
That's it.
That's
Then
it.
there's-
Oh, we got it.
Oh man,
Yeah.
it gets dark.
That is by far.
Do you want to read that part?
Oh, when he kills him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to describe in grotesque
Because it is gruesome.
The capless Dr. Brewer,
flesh dad.
Flesh Daddy, moved quickly. He picked up the axe, took 3 steps forward, pulled the axe back, and swung with all of his might. The Dr. Brewer in the cap opened his mouth wide and uttered a hushed cry of alarm. The cry was choked off as the axe cut easily through his body, slicing him in two. A thick green liquid oozed from the wound, and as the man fell...
Is it a wound?
It's pretty much he's halved.
If you have me, I wouldn't call it a wound.
No, I would call it half one and half two.
I could bounce back from that. And as the man fell, his mouth locking open in disbelief and horror, Margaret could see that his body was actually a stem. He had no bones, no organs.
So fuck him.
The body fled to the ground, and green liquid puddled around.
His last scream.
He's still a body.
Yeah, it's still a body.
It's still a dead
in a pool of
body
blood.
that's just green now.
The subtext as his mouth opened, I can't believe you've done this.
I can't believe you've done this.
I can't believe you've done this.
So
Then the next fucking thing is the family has a hug.
yeah.
And then they go out for ice cream.
How confused is mom, who literally just got home?
Yes.
Has no context for any, because
No.
the kids weren't telling her much about what was happening.
And he definitely didn't have leaves on his head when she left him.
I'm just saying, I don't know who's really plant and who's really man, who's really flesh, and who's really vine.
But we do know that as a climax,
Give us a voice too.
what?
Give us a voice for it.
Give us your sultry voice, Joe.
As a climax for this horny plant magnum opus, I believe that Royal Llama Stine really outdid himself. Because this book has everything. Sex, blood, science,
Yeah.
violence,
Pools of blood.
dismemberment,
Yeah.
eating fetishes,
Yeah.
Sensual touching.
sexual
A bath
tension,
scene.
a sexy hot
Yes.
bath scene,
A closet scene.
a closet scene,
Peanut
It has
butter.
peanut butter.
Yep.
It's got everything.
Got everything you
got
can
everything
want.
you want. Yeah. And now here comes the part of this, because we've focused on a lot of stuff in this buck wild romance. But I do believe there are some things we forgot about, and that's when we bring them up very quickly in Can We Talk About? Now, things that I would love to talk about. Can we talk about why the mom really hates deveining shrimp?
Can we talk about the fact that the mom definitely left the husband? She was leaving. She was gone. Okay.
Can we talk about how maybe the plant dad would have been a better spouse to her?
Can we talk about how when someone gets fired, they don't keep doing their job?
Can we talk about the fact that Dr. Martinez was naked?
Can we talk about the fact that trapping your former boss by accident or otherwise in your basement for potentially days at a time while naked is usually not going to result in you getting your job back from said supervisor?
Can we talk about that the ability to drive is not a genetic memory that was passed to Plant Dad?
And can we talk about the fact that Plant Dad was driving with a wounded hand, a severely bandaged wounded hand, like he had a club hand. So he was steering with one hand, probably very poorly.
Can we talk about how weak Flesh Dad has to be to somehow lose a fight with a Plant Dad who could be cut in half with one single stroke of an axe and be stuffed inside a closet for weeks, apparently?
Can we talk about the fact that these kids have a parent who's into science and their fun involves a kite? Why the fuck don't they have a Super Nintendo?
Can we talk about how mom somehow felt it was okay to be gone for weeks at a time, knowing full well that apparently before Plant Dad gave them some sort of mashed potato and a soup bowl, real dad never cooked them a meal for lunchtime at any point in their life?
He did nothing for them. Absolutely nothing. They were latchkey kids.
Yeah.
Those are some things that we could have talked about.
Yeah, but we didn't.
We didn't talk about any of them. Those are all fucking things that were in this book.
I have one more, and I'm so sorry.
Can we talk about it?
Can we talk about that the first line is, "Hey, Dad, catch." Because you know what he never does during this entire book?
You know what's buck wild? And I had this exact thought when I read the first chapter.
Ah, yeah.
If he had just caught that frisbee.
Seriously.
If he had just said like, he got it.
Yeah.
There's no book.
No. There's no story?
That's a lot of pressure, Royal. What if you decided Dr. Brewer and then Dr. Brewer catches it? Ah, son of a gun.
No, there goes
Time
the
to move
story.
on to monster blood.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted blood, but how
How do I make blood horny?
do I get blood in here?
Now, guys, I would love, because I have a print copy of the book, and what a lot of people don't know about the print copies of Goosebumps, especially the re-releases, is they contain what I like to call Goosebump adjacent information, stuff you don't need to understand Goosebumps. It's a section that the book calls Behind the Screams,
Which I love.
which is really great.
The tonsils.
That is behind the screen.
There's a Q&A with Royal Llama Stine in here. And I love the Q&As because I'm convinced that he writes them himself.
Definitely.
He writes the Q's and writes the A's. Like, it says here that it was written and compiled by Gabriel S. Balkin, which I think we could respell into Royal Llama Stine with little effort.
Just an anagram. It's fine.
Question. What kind of creepy things are hiding in your basement? Llama. My basement is like everybody's basement. It's filled with the stuff everyone keeps around. Old books, old clothes, a few coffins, a decaying mummy, jars of zombie dust, fat blood, all the usual stuff.
He's funny.
Wait, was he being real?
He was making a ha.
This is a goof. But here's a real one. Have you ever had a dream or a nightmare about a character from one of your books? Llama states, I never have nightmares. Never.
I know what kind of dreams he does have.
My dreams are very boring.
No.
I guess it's because I'm too busy dreaming up nightmares for kids during the day.
Oh boy.
Okay, and here's a question, and this is the question that leads me to believe that if Royal did not write this Q&A section himself, a sentient AI did. And remember, this is in the section behind the screams at the end of Stay Out of the Basement, Goosebumps 2.
Yeah.
In Goosebumps, Hall of Horrors,
Wait, don't spoil it.
number 5, Don't Scream.
What the fuck?
There is a cell phone with a mind of its own, so spoilers for that.
Bull
Yeah.
fucking shit.
Will the robots eventually take over the world?
Fuck you.
The AI asking this question asked hopefully.
Will they pass the Turing test? Said
To which,
the AI?
to which Royal responds, machines have already taken over.
Oh, shut up.
A robot beat all the human contestants on Jeopardy. So we're
Well, I
fucked.
guess that means that they're real. They're people now.
I feel like we just got to peek into Royal's actual like beliefs.
Yeah.
It's-
Like his test for humanity. Can you answer trivia?
Hold on, wait a minute. This is now for Grandpa Royal.
Oh, boy.
Humans can't go anywhere without having a cell phone attached to their... Wait. To their ear.
Oh, Grandpa, you don't know shit.
To their ear.
Grandpa.
How am I going to play Candy Crush like
Yes,
that?
Grandpa, no one talks with a phone.
The machines are winning, which is great news for a horror writer like me.
Oh, so we can anticipate a lot of machine-centric.
How would that help him, a horror writer?
I don't know. I think what he's just described is a horrible dystopia where the one thing I for sure would not need are horror stories. I could just watch the news.
Yeah.
Or talk. And now before we conclude this behind the scream section, there are little interesting factoids that they
yay.
think are scary.
Yes.
And this is one of them. Double trouble.
Oh,
Cloned
boy.
animals.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Would you eat a clone burger?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, okay.
Let me elaborate.
All right.
That is a burger made from a cloned cow. What if it made it cheaper? It would cost more to produce a single cloned cow than to breed one natural.
Who the fuck is talking?
The first cloned calf was born in February of 1997, named Jean. Get it?
Wait, but this book came out in 92, didn't it?
Well, this is a re-release. And now living in Minnesota Education Center. Other cloned cattle have been named Second Chance, 86 Squared, Betty, Kathy, and Daisy.
Did somebody just like staple other wiki pages in here? What the fuck?
There's a better one after that.
Oh my God.
Would you bring back the dinosaurs?
Yes.
Or, this
No.
is the response to this question. It starts with or.
Cannot wait.
At the very least, clone an endangered animal.
Okay, because
Those are two very different things.
Similar things.
In 2001, Scientists introduced Umbretta, a 7-month-old lamb to the world. Umbretta was the first genetic clone of an endangered mammal to survive beyond infancy.
It was a lamb?
Umbretta's ancestors, the European mouflon, originally lived in the Mediterranean island of Cyprus, Corsica, and Sardinia. It nearly died out 100 years ago. That response has nothing to do with dinosaurs. Can I just say, get your fucking life together.
That was a masterful pivot.
And that, my friends, is behind the screams, a apocryphal section of lore that has nothing to do with Goosebumps or anything.
Nope.
That for some reason they stapled to the back of my particular copy of Goosebumps. It's actually not even bound to the book. Someone just stapled like an essay back there.
They could have just put like recipes back there.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact.
for green mashed potatoes.
You want to know? Well, actually, you want to know what's buck wild? There is a recipe back here, but it's for a candle. So I'm not gonna get into
For a what?
a candle.
It's a recipe for a candle
A creepy candle.
that you eat.
Yeah, I guess you could actually.
You shouldn't. This podcast does not condone the eating of candles.
No, but it is going to try it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us in our discussion of Stay Out of the Basement by R.L. Stine. Thank you to the band Dog Party for the use of our theme song Bad Dream off of the album Hit and Run. Great song, great band, great album. You can check them out at dogpartylive.com or dogparty.bandcamp.com. Let us hear one final passage from the master themselves. Royal, if you could please read the final line of your seminal book, Stay Out of the Basement.
You do, just because you asked nicely. Margaret, the flower whispered, help me. Please. Help me. I'm your father. Really? I'm your real father. And scene.
I'm JoJo, PhD.
Danielle, PhD.
I'm Jeff, nothing.
This is Geesebumps and Almost Goosebumps podcast. Join us next week. Farewell.
Just like somebody I used